What is up, Goober Gamers? It's me, the Blood Elf, the Summoned Skull on the right.
Yes, it is I, Captain Titus, and today I'm a little more serious.
Yeah, we're serious today.
Yeah, yeah, this is serious Friday is what we're doing
Snow
right now.
Fun Podcast.
Yes, it's all sadness and politics.
I'd like to start off with the politics of Archfiends.
Yes, this is where it gets pretty crucial right here. This is
Ever
where we're going.
since we left the chessboard, things have never been the same.
I'm about to get us completely unsubbed and banned from YouTube. Are you ready?
Oh god, yeah, do it.
Crystal Beasts ain't nothing.
You can't just say that. Like,
You
that's...
anybody can take that as they will.
You can't just say... It just got a structure deck. You can't just say that.
Nope, it's already been said. Rainbow Dragon? More like Poop Dragon.
Damn. Got him. Anyway, welcome to the show, folks.
I think that was our strongest start yet out of how many years we've been doing this.
Yeah, for all the years we've been doing this, for all the years we've been practicing these cold openings, but back when we even had like a gaming channel way back when with the dungeon dudes.
Remember that? Remember when we actually talked about video games?
Yo, remember when we made content?
Yeah, I remember. I remember
those...
when we used to be people's Christmas presents because we would only come once a year.
Bums. So welcome to the show, folks.
Hello.
We got some hot button topics and some top yutton topics to talk about today.
Did you just have a stroke? I can't tell if that was planned or if you were just like soft resetting.
look, sometimes I dealt with enough customers at work today. I just need to have a Windows reboot, and I'll be all good.
That's fine. You gotta do what you gotta do.
We start off our podcast in the same way we've started off the last few episodes. We need to talk about Warhammer because here on Blizz Bizz, the channel about World of Warcraft, we need to talk about Warhammer.
Yes. Wait. The channel about World of Warcraft. You know, there's more Warcraft or more Blizzard games, right?
Yeah, but like they're not World of Warcraft.
Yeah, so Warhammer.
So Warhammer.
Yeah, man. Adepticon just happened, a little bit ago, and some huge news that more popular and more successful channels are already talking about, but now it's our turn. 10th edition 40K.
I took a look at it.
Yeah.
What it's interesting. I'm confused a little bit about the announcement.
Why?
So they spent a decent amount of time really going into, yeah, you're not going to need like books and books and tons of codexes now. We have these data cards. It's going to change the whole game. Like, oh, the thing Sigmar does?
Yeah, the thing that Age of Sigmar does? Yeah.
Like
that's pretty much been this entire like announcement for 10th edition, and then all the changes that they've revealed so far have basically just been me going, oh, so yeah, just like Sigmar. Oh, okay, yeah, just like Sigmar. And, and I'm sure they'll still have their differences, but I'm glad that 40K is taking more stuff from Sigmar because Sigmar is just a more fun game.
Yeah, like, never take what we're saying as like, oh man, this is stupid. They're just taking from Sigmar. No, we want them to take from Sigmar. It's working.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I legitimately looked at what they've showed so far, and what they're kind of talking about and promising, and I actually want to play 40K. Like,
yeah, which has not been the case for like 2 editions.
Like really, I did not care for 8th edition as much as I thought that I would. Like, I pretty feel like I was kind of lying to myself. Like I just wanted to keep playing 40K, and I played early 8th edition, I played middle 8th edition, and I was just like, yeah, I guess it's not that bad. I don't know.
But it was that bad.
Well, it's just, I don't know. I guess it was just because it was basically just copying Age of Sigmar because Age of Sigmar was very new user friendly. compared to 40K, and
Mhm.
so they wanted their bigger IP to be more user friendly, which I get for a company or corporate standpoint. Yeah, that's how you're gonna sell more models and more books, but yeah, so I just kind of gave up on 8th edition towards the end, and I didn't play a single game of 9th edition. I bought the rule book for it, and I bought a 9th edition Tyranid Codex, and I did nothing with them the entire
But hey,
time I
you
owned them.
did buy them.
I did buy them. They got my money for it, and now I can throw my rule book away because it's I already threw away a Astra Militarum Codex earlier today because it was an 8th edition one.
Tragic. I really love Astra Militarum.
Yeah, so I threw that away, and then I'll just be throwing my core rule book away because I don't need that no more.
And I'm
The
not
Tyranid,
collecting them anymore.
yeah, Tyranid book I'm gonna keep because it's the collector's edition and it was like $100. So,
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel like whenever the Slaves to Darkness book gets replaced. I'm keeping this one because it's shiny and nice.
oh yeah, but yeah, so 10th edition is looking pretty good and it's sounding really promising, and it sounds like it's gonna be a more. I think they said the rules are so, like the core rules for the game are simplified enough to where you can play it on 2 pages, or you can put the whole rule book on 2 pages.
Yeah, I liked their quote: "Simplified, not simple."
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's gonna help, and I saw that they're backing off on stratagems a lot.
Good, because it's stupid.
Yeah, I think that little reveal that they had in the long article, they said something along the lines of the stratagems are still there, but instead of having like 2 to 3 pages of stratagems to choose from, you only get like 2 or 3, and you have to use them sparingly.
Yeah, I like that a lot more if they wanted to include stratagems because I hated, like, even when they introduced like the cards that had all the stratagems, it just felt so annoying to have to deal
Yeah,
with like 50,000 stratagems.
yeah, I agree. Did you see on the article about force organization charts?
Yeah, so it's going to be like a give and take thing, or like you slot it in for whatever unit it is, and that's what the data card is supposed to help with, right?
Well, no, there's just no force org.
Oh,
Yeah, there's no force org at all. It's like Age of Sigmar, where you pick a warlord or general, depending on which game you're playing. But you pick a warlord and you pick whatever units you want to play. But you can't have more than 3 of the same type of unit. And then as long as you stay within points value, that's your army.
that's pretty pog. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of like how Age of Sigmar is, where you can basically pick a general, pick what you want for your army, and there you go. That's the army.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
sure
it.
I'm pretty sure they'll do something similar to how 3rd edition Sigmar does it, where you can pick uh your your sub faction or whatever. Like me playing my Ogres, I play Beastclaw Raiders, and they've got their own special rule for
Hmm.
Beastclaw Raiders. So they'll play into the keywords because they like their keywords.
Speaking of
Um,
keywords, universal special rules.
yeah, they're gonna release Universal Special Rules again, which is good. Good, goody
It was
gumdrop.
so dumb they got rid of it. I'm glad they're bringing it back.
Yes, very happy to hear that. Um, yeah, I mean, really, if they keep in line with all this, and they're giving us the rules for the game for free, they're giving away all of the rules for your armies and your data card or data sheets for free. I'm sure. I mean, they've already said the codexes are going to come back, but uh, it's basically if you just want more lore and stuff for your armies, and
Mhm.
then
At least
I'm sure.
that better be how it is.
Well, yeah. I'm sure it's probably gonna be the same old song and dance that we always get, where it's like, oh yeah, everything is free because it's a brand new game, and then you'll end up buying more stuff because the army creep is gonna happen again, and like I don't want to say like there isn't gonna be a meta or army creep or power creep that happens when new codexes come out, because it
Hmm.
is, and it always happens no matter what
Oh,
game it is.
always.
But I have high hopes that 10th edition will at least be simplified enough to where guys like us who preferred the more complex Warhammer version with, like, 4th through 7th. Like, we preferred that rule set more. But then they simplified it a little bit more, or they simplified it a lot when it came to 8th and 9th edition. But they also kind of changed the game completely with phases and all that as well. So
True.
I'm kind of hoping that when 10th edition comes out, it's not necessarily going to be even more simplified of what we used to have, but just something that, since I've been out of the game for how long, I can just literally pick up my army, play the game, and then, like, learn as I go on from these 2-page rules.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just it was always a problem with us getting into like the new age stuff. We even struggled with Sigmar for a little bit with
We did.
how
We
how
actually,
simple the game was, and to be fair, the core of the game was meant to always be simple, and we got used to a lot of the things in 4th through 7th because most of the game was just transferable. There was just added rules with each edition, and then the new phase rules happened and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Universal Special Rules helped so much more in simplifying the game. Just because you don't have to say like this guy gets a 5-up invulnerable or something, or it's like no he has feel no pain or something like that. It was way simpler to just say feel no pain, independent character, blah 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 blah. And that helps with the simplification. I actually think Sigmar could do more with more universal special rules.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I don't think Age of Sigmar needs universal special rules is because, like, no army really is the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless they're like most chaos armies or most destruction armies. Like, I guess that's the thing, is like the universal special rules that those things have are the Grand Alliance allegiance abilities.
Touche.
Like, those are the universals that they have, and it's just basically for their alliance. But because Warhammer 40k has such, like, super diverse and different armies, but because they all have similar tactics to where, like, they all deep strike, or they all have deep striking units, but they keep wording it differently, but they could just literally just say deep strike.
Right.
Something along those lines. I think 40k, because it's always been a more expandable game, and it's been going on longer than Age of Sigmar. They benefit from having that more than Sigmar does.
I'm gonna be real. If we end up playing 40k again, I don't know what army I'm gonna play.
Well, I still own a bunch of 40k armies, so I don't have to worry about that.
Must be nice. I mean, like, it's not like I don't own any. I know I still have my orcs. I still have my Necrons, but I probably won't play them. And I have the Eldar and the Harlequins, although I don't like playing them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Trad
I mean, yeah, but also not really.
What does that mean?
I mean, like, I was gonna give them away to
Oh yeah, you're gonna give them to Jorge.
Yeah, I was gonna give him to Jorge. He was very excited for him, so I don't want to let him down.
All right, that's fair.
But yeah, who knows? Like, I remember I told you a bit ago, like, Tau kind of like reached out and called me again because I really like a lot of the Tau lore. Not a lot of the recent stuff, but some of the older stuff really is like, oh man, ethereals were buttholes.
Hey man, I like ethereals. Like, I'm 100%, like, you and me, we're both Tau players, and I'm 100% for the Empire, and you're a Farsight Enclaver.
I mean, like, it's hard not to be a Farsight Enclaver.
I'm just like, yeah, man, the ethereal cast leads for the greater good.
But it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Oh, it does.
But speaking of Sigmar a bit ago, I was genuinely surprised to even for Games Workshop to even mention Cities of Sigmar, and the fact that they're getting a new codex with new models.
Yeah, they're finally getting new models after like 10 years.
Like, what? Like, Cities of Sigmar kind of like Beastmen, at least I originally thought, was just so that people with old world models could play Sigmar.
Yeah, man.
But
You getting
here's
proven wrong
Games
left and
Workshop
right.
surprising me again, being like, hey, by the way, that Cities of Sigmar, here's some new minis. F you.
Yeah, have a good day.
That blew my mind. I was a little surprised that they'd update Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah, good for them, you know.
No, totally. I think that's great for them, and anyone who plays Cities of Sigmar and likes that playstyle, that was going to be my original slow grow.
It was, yeah.
But then I didn't like their style. But it's cool that they're even getting attention, and I'm glad that GW in this regard is giving everyone equal amounts of attention in Sigmar.
Yeah, they're definitely trying. That's for sure.
I like how the last episode we were just like trashing GW for like
oh yeah, dude.
stream.
Like the last episode, we're just curb stomping all of GW's practices. And to be fair, I still stand by a lot of the things I said on that last one.
Then 10th edition comes out and you go, boycott over. I need to get this 10th edition.
Well, that's the thing. Is like you can tell me that something cool is coming out, and you can tell me all the sweet nothings you want, and release a couple of flashy models here and there. But if you're going to continue your business practices that I still have a problem with, then we're still at this impasse here.
Right. Just a funny little crossroad there with man just stomping the hell out of GW's face, and then man, this is really cool. I'm glad GW is really paying attention.
Hey, maybe they watched the latest Blizz Bizz.
They absolutely did.
They probably watched it and went, "Oh man, these guys used to give us a lot of money. We should probably do what they say."
Obviously, GW watches Blizz Bizz. Like, don't you see the correlation?
Yeah, I mean everybody does. Everybody does. But yeah, with 10th edition moving the story forward to they're going into that 4th Tyrannic War, and as a Tyranid main, it looks delicious. Did you watch that? Did you watch that cinematic?
I watched the cinematic. Everything was cool, except I think Reboot Gilliman sounds kind of a nerd.
I mean, he is a nerd. We knew that.
I did not like his voice actor at all. He sounded like he was almost like Sylvester Stallone the whole time. I don't know. As I was watching, I'm like, wow, this is like a lot of cool stuff happening. I love the art direction. It looked like the minis came to life, and I really like that art direction for them. But I could not get over Gilliman's voice the whole time.
Nothing personal, Tyranids. But we're gonna achieve victory.
It's just, can we step back a sec and just can we accept Kolgar again? I liked Kolgar.
Dude, like I have. All right, you know how I feel about Ultramarines.
Oh, we all do.
I don't think. Okay, hang on. I gotta find the right way to say this because
you're literally represented by Captain Titus right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is, it's not. Yeah, I don't have this Captain Titus thing because I'm an Ultramarines fanboy or anything like that. I'm the furthest thing from it. I think they're definitely. I think our next tier list is gonna have to be a loyalist Space Marine chapter tier list. Spoiler alert, Ultramarines will be in the D tier for me, but
I'd put in C tier.
Ugh. But anyway, Martius Kolgar is cool. I used to be not a huge fan because it was just like he was just a guy and he did some stuff and he had some plot armor and I was he died at one point and I was like, finally, he's going out like a champ, gets killed by a keeper of secrets, and then he goes through the Rubicon, which is, you know, the new Deus Ex Machina for Space Marines, because GW is afraid to kill off characters. I'm still not giving that one up.
Nope.
But after reading the Marvel comic for Marnius Kolgar, I don't know if you've ever seen anything for that.
I saw something, but I don't. I never read it.
Okay, so it's pretty cool. So first off, Marnius Kolgar is not even his real name. That was actually his best friend's name. That after his friend died, again spoilers. After his friend died, they they were like defending each other on some sort of like moon or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, his friend died, and he took up the name Marnius Kolgar in honor for him.
that's pretty cool.
But yeah, he was pretty. He was actually like the chicken. He was kind of like a wuss.
Okay.
And the real Marnius Kolgar was like the brave. I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry about it. We got this. I'll protect you. And then when that guy died, and Marnius had to defend himself, he took that guy's name. So yeah, I mean it was a bit of a ride. So I do have a newfound respect for Marnius Kolgar. Still think he should have died when he first died, but you know, Rubicon Primaris, gotta make sure that nobody dies.
Let's be clear. Marnius Kalgar is cool. Primarius Marnius Kalgar sucks.
I mean, he's literally the same thing.
But he's not, because he's Primaris, and Primaris is dumb. Firstborn for life, baby.
Firstborn pride.
Firstborn pride.
But I mean, even Primaris Marnius Kolgar. I mean, like I said, model wise, he's still the same. Like
yeah.
So, where was I going with this? I don't remember why I branched off into this. Oh yeah, something about Ultramarines, right?
Yeah, I'd assume we talked about. I just mentioned how I thought because okay, we were talking about the trailer. Cedric Boot Gilliman, his voice was kind of funny. I missed Kalgar; he was cooler. Now we're here.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the recap. Last time on Dragon Ball Z,
yeah, everyone who is listening literally just experienced this.
Okay, so yes, Cinemac was cool. Rabute Gilliman sounds like a nerd, but he always does. I don't know, like it's like I can't really like, criticize it too hard because I mean I can troll on it for sure, but
oh totally.
I can't criticize it too hard because like Gilliman actually does present himself in a really like when you read what like his passages in the novels and in the oh my god, like Horus Heresy stuff, but mostly the Dark Imperium stuff that's come out recently where he does talk a lot more.
Yeah.
He does present himself as, you know, a stoic leader that's trying to fight for the Emperor's original vision.
Totally.
But so I just the trailer does not do him justice at all.
It doesn't. It really does not do him justice.
It's trying to just be epic for the sake of being epic. However, there were a lot of new Tyranid biomorphs that I am amped, capital AMP, to see on the board.
I think it's overdue. Tyranids deserve this.
It is. You know, I think it's all been building up for this big Tyranid war. I mean, I'm a little now. Here we go. You know, when it comes to the story again,
Yep.
and I may be a Tyranid fanboy, but I will wholeheartedly say I'm a little disappointed that it's High Fleet Leviathan again. I'm like, come on. Like Leviathan has literally done everything. They need to stop being the poster child for Tyranids, and let's move on to another High Fleet that can do other stuff other than just be endless. I mean, because they're all pretty much...
Leviathan is literally just the Ultramarines of Tyranids.
They are. They really are just the Ultramarines of Tyranids. Or, you know, like the I'm trying to think of the Uthway Eldar faction. You know, basically whatever the main faction of that race is or that army, that's what they all are. They're all the Armartyred ladies. They're all the Eighth Cadian, whatever.
I will only make the exception of Armored Lady as like okay. Everyone else sucks, but Armored Lady is Pog.
Simp.
Yeah. You think I'm gonna deny that?
Yeah.
No. Screw that.
I want Saint Catherine to step on me.
God, doesn't everybody?
Jesus.
I'm just a summoned skull with a dream.
Animated single teardrop down the summon scroll's eyes.
I'm not that talented.
But
somebody animate that. One of our longtime fans.
Yes, the blood elf on the left, that one. But so there was like this giant, like bloated, floating Tyranid biomorph in the or bioform in the cinematic, and I'm really hoping that that's gonna be the Doom of Malantai.
That'd be pretty cool if it was.
I'm really hoping, because like I was telling you earlier, like that he is literally a demigod with the ability to not just feast on biomass, but to also eat souls. Like he's just so like chubby and chopped up, full of
he's just so hungry.
Eldar souls, that he's used his brain and sucks your soul out.
Just a hungry boy.
I mean, they're all hungry boys.
True.
That's why I relate to my Tyranid so much.
That's true. You are on a spiritual level with your Tyranids.
I am. I want to be buried with them.
All of them.
All of them. But I'm trying to think. So yeah, I mean, 10th edition looks pretty cool. New Tyranid stuff, awesome. Gilman's a nerd. The lion has awoken. We have a new loyalist Primarch.
And I'm so happy. Like, so apparently everyone like knew, but I keep out of Warhammer news mostly. So this was like a huge surprise when I scrolled down Facebook and were like, "Yo, it's Lionel Johnson."
Yeah. They were very unsubtle about who was like what was happening in the last chapter of Arcs of Omen.
And I'm not complaining. It's so cool to finally have him.
It is. I mean, just to have another loyalist Primarch in general.
Yeah, we needed another loyalist one.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to see how the game is going to shake up after awakening another loyalist Primarch. Because you got to think, we just had Angron jump back into the story like 4 or 5 months ago, even if that. No, it's been less than that. It was like 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Angron was thrown back into the story.
Yeah.
So we have like Angron finally comes back in, and then right after that, 3 months later, Lionel Johnson wakes up. So we've got all these other Primarchs and demigod demon Primarchs coming out.
What was that? What was that starter set with Dark Angels and Chaos?
Dark Imperium.
Yeah, we're just getting a repeat of Dark Imperium.
I don't know if it'll be a repeat of that, because that was
know.
Okay.
Yeah,
like I honestly, this time Chaos is taking, like in the story right now, Chaos is taking a back seat to Tyranids right now. Because if you think about it, in 8th edition, it was Chaos and Space Marines, because the Great Rift had just opened up, and demons are pouring out like crazy. Chaos is on a rampage, and Abaddon is his 13th Crusade is looking good. And then 9th edition came out and moved the story some more, and then the Necrons were the big enemy. Then it was the Indomitus Crusade, and the Necrons showed up. The Silent King returned. It was like, all right, my people, time to wreck house, because I'm one of the coolest Necron characters ever to exist. And
hard to disagree.
Unleashing the power of the Void Dragon.
Now the Void Dragon's cool.
Yeah, like just all the Necron stuff that came out for 9th edition was really cool.
Well, no, let's not hold on there. That's not true.
Well, what do you think that wasn't cool?
I mean, like I've told you before, I don't like. Maybe it's just the design wise. I don't like how the new Necrons look.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't saying like the re-kit. Like I do prefer the old Necron warriors compared to the new ones, and the immortals to the new ones. But I mean, like
And the
the
monoliths.
yeah, I feel like the monoliths have too much going on right now.
I feel like a lot of that's the thing with most of the Necrons is that they just have way too much going on right now for just being Robo Boys. Just let them be Robo Boys.
Yeah, well, I think for the most part, that army looks pretty good right now. But anyway, so yeah, the Indomitus Crusade happened and it was Necrons. So now the natural movement of that is Tyranids, because with all that warp, that warp energy leaking out of the Segmentum Solar, all of the Tyranids from the void are now starting to make their way into the galaxy. And when the Silent King came back, he was the one that was basically like, "Hey, this chaos stuff is chump change compared to what's out there, and it's on its way." So, you got to think, with this Tyrannic war starting, are we going to see more factions teaming up with humanity to push back the never-ending swarm?
Will they be allies of convenience or will they be battle brothers?
Yeah, I kind of hope that they bring that sort of system back, the allies of convenience and desperate allies.
It was neat.
It was fun. It was a really fun system, and I kind of hope that they do that again. Because, I mean, it wouldn't be too different from how Age of Sigmar does the mercenaries.
True. No, I could actually see them doing that.
Yeah, like you're allowed like one character and one unit from another army if you're desperate allies, or one character and two units if you're allies of convenience, or something like that.
Yeah, I could actually see them doing that. Something small, but it adds flavor to the whole game.
Yeah, and that's basically what you'd be shooting for. It wouldn't be tactically sound at all, but it would add some flavor to your army.
And I'm always
Like,
down for flavor.
oh yeah.
Everyone knows I go downtown to Flavor Town.
I mean, you could always do something like for like your Tau. You could do a, I don't know, like a company commander of Imperial Guardsmen, and then two Guardsmen squads, and there's your like Guavessa force.
It's true. I was also thinking if I did get Tau, I would main Kroot.
Oh yeah, there you go. Kroot are pretty cool.
I've always loved the Kroot. So even way back when I had like I think it was like 30 Kroot, and all I ever did was use them as meat shield.
Yeah, they were basically just the giant wall blocking your
I mean, it worked. It was pretty tactically sound at the time.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, the way that the game ran, that was a pretty smart move, since you had to shoot through them anyway.
It's true. But yeah, I think if we did play 40K again, which I know you're going to do.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
If I did play again, it would probably I'd probably go back to Tau, go full circle with everything, because I've been missing my Tau boys, and
yeah, man.
Made some Kroot, get some Vespid Stingwings, be a good time.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. And then you could team up with my Bonsai Tau.
That's true. We would. Do you remember that tag tournament we did?
Which one?
It was the only one I went to because I think you went with the. I think you went with Chris.
God,
which one was it?
was the one that we teamed up together? Is that the one where my Bloodthirster farted fire on the guys?
It might have been.
Wasn't that where we created #buttfire?
No, I don't think that was me.
Oh, okay.
No, mine must have. I think ours was a little lamer.
It was
because because we didn't bring any big guys to my recollection.
Okay.
All I remember is that I don't remember what I brought, I don't remember what anyone had. All I remember is that we went, and it was like, oh man, tag team tournaments are fun. And that's all I remember is that we had fun.
That doesn't sound like it actually happened, but all right.
I swear to God it happened.
All right.
I wish I remembered.
I don't remember anything that happened or what army we played or where we were at, but I remember you were there and we had a good time.
Look,
It just doesn't sound real.
Look. We all know my memory sucks, but I know this happened. I know it did.
Okay. But
I was hoping you would remember better and that you would continue the conversation to help me remember.
I got nothing for you, pal. The only things I remember, I was in a duos tournament with oh yeah. I was in a duos tournament with Chris once. We did because our team was always called Chris Squared since there were two of us.
True.
And I remember one game we played Blood Angels and Grey Knights as allies. And that was back in 7th edition when you could take demonology psychic powers.
It was so dumb.
It was so funny. We were just his Grey Knights teamed up with my Blood Angels, and all of a sudden my Blood Angel librarian is like, I summon bloodletters.
It's like, what the hell, man?
Like, wow, that's incredibly heretical.
Just like marks it down in a little book, very much heresy.
He just summons. He's like, "That's incredibly heretical." Shut up! It's working.
That was a cool system, though. I really liked the psychic power system in 7th.
Dude, 7th edition psychic powers were so much fun. Like, it was so wacky.
Yeah, they will never do that again.
No, I mean, like they fixed it from 6th edition because 6th edition had it to where Tyranids could use biomancy, and then you could like spam the Iron Arm psychic power on Tyranid on Hive Tyrants, and that wasn't fun for anybody.
I remember you doing that a lot, and I was I was not a fan.
Yeah, it was like Hive Tyrants already had Smash, which back then was like AP2 melee attacks, but giving them, I think it was +2 to their toughness, and then giving them feel no pain and like +1 to their armor save. I mean, it was a ridiculous psychic power to give to Tyranids. So I remember in 7th they fixed it to where Tyranids could only take Tyranid psychic powers, which was kind of a bummer. And I think that's when I started like playing other armies like my orcs so that I could use other psychic powers other than just regular Tyranid ones.
I remember one of my favorite memories. We should probably have saved this for another day, but it just keep coming back to me. I loved going to Games Day with you.
Oh yeah, Games Day is fun.
Games Day was so fun.
I think we did 3 Games Days in our lifetime while it was, and then they stopped doing it in America.
Well, it's just like what happened with Pokemon Rocks America.
Yep. We made it to 1 Pokemon Rocks America before it stopped coming to America.
Worth.
Yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, Games Day was fun. I'm still undefeated at Games Day. And now that streak will never be broken.
I was just about to say, like, well, it's never going to be broken now.
I know. I'm forever undefeated at Games Day.
Pain. But yeah, is there anything else in Warhammer you wanted to talk about? You said you had something to rant about before we started the stream.
Dude, I don't even remember.
I gave you the angry picture because you were like, I gotta rant, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's got something spicy.
Well, I think it was just the fact that it was 40K becoming Age of Sigmar, and all the people, all the like diehard 40K fanboys are gonna be like, no, it's a different game now, and Age of Sigmar is still bad, and it's like, because I've dealt with a lot of that. There's a couple of 40K YouTubers that I follow and listen to their videos, and they also dump on Age of Sigmar a lot and say that the lore is bad and that the game is easy and boring, and I'll always chime in and be like, actually, the lore has come a long way from what it used to be. Like I agreed with them that when Age of Sigmar first came out, the lore was just a mess and was
Oh
not
yeah.
great. But as of recent, and when I mean recent, I mean like the past year, Age of Sigmar lore has been awesome. It's been really good, and like I can't stress enough how solid uh uh third edition Age of Sigmar is. Like it is such a solid game. Like I hope it never changes because right now, like I hope they keep adding to it like they've been doing with the General's Handbook, where they're adding in different special rules for whatever's happening in the story and in the campaign. But
Mhm.
I hope that third edition Age of Sigmar is around for a long, long time because it is so solid and so fun.
Yeah.
And just
I was surprised at how much fun I was having with it.
Yeah, it's just an all around good time, and it's super. It's not that it's too simple. It's just that everything you need is in front of you. Like you don't have to go flipping through pages and digging around to find a rule or special ways to build your army. You can just you just pick the sub faction, pick what you want to play, stay in your points value, and play the game. Just
Yeah.
like what 10th edition 40k is doing now.
And just like with 10th edition, the game is exponentially easier to understand and navigate when you have the data cards.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why I have like high hopes and legitimate hype for 10th edition because like straying away from it being a Tyranid one, because I don't want it to just seem like I'm biased because of Tyranids. Like looking strictly at rules right now, it looks like it's going to be. It feels like we're finally gonna get the third edition Age of Sigmar for 40k. Like 40k is finally gonna have the fresh start that's gonna make it a super fun game for everybody, and then hopefully it also cuts back on the competitiveness so that you don't just see people spamming the same kind of cheese over and over again. And like people are always gonna find a way to make an ultra competitive list
Right.
because that it's just the nature of competition of the tournament scene.
Mhm.
So, and that's fine. But if the majority of people are just playing the game for funsies, which they are, or the majority of people that are in the hobby are just playing for fun. Uh, if that if the game allows them to just build whatever they want and it's still viable, I mean that's a win.
Yeah. It reminds me of how in Yu-Gi-Oh for like the last few years, people really complained. Like there are people who really like a diverse meta with multiple decks topping. And then there are people who like when there's a tier 0 format or there's only one deck with one build topping because it really tests the skill of the player. Um, I think in terms of Warhammer, there's just a better outcry and it looks like a healthier game when you have that more diverse meta when multiple armies can all do their own thing very well.
Oh yeah, like looking at Auspex Tactics, it's another YouTuber that I follow.
Hmm.
Um, he keeps up with the competitive scene and keeps up with local and national tournaments,
Hmm.
and like he'll be like, oh, this army just crushed it at a tournament, or this army is topping in multiple tournaments, and it's usually armies that have the latest codex.
Oh,
Um,
obviously. That's
and
usually a selling tactic.
Well, it is. That's exactly what it is. It's codex creep, where that the army gets really, really strong, and then after it wins X amount of games for how many weeks, GW finally goes, okay, let's tune it back, and now they're not going to win anymore. It was it is they do it with every army, every single army they do that with in 40k. Um, but like hopefully with 10th edition this is now a fresh start, and everybody's going to be back to like back when 8th edition started, we're back at the index rules and special rules attached to your data sheet. And then hopefully when the codexes do come out, it's just going to be like one or two army wide rules a faction, a sub faction specific army wide rule, and then your data sheet, and that's it.
Right.
Like that's the hope, so that nothing changes too much. Of course, throw a stratagem or two in there too, because they're
Gotta
not going
keep
to
it
go
fresh.
away. Yeah, well, stratagems aren't going to go away, which is fine. You know, if they want to make the stratagem system similar to the heroic actions in Age of Sigmar, go for it. You
Totally.
know, if you wanna make it like three different things you get to choose from, and you have to use a command point to do it, do it. You know,
Do
I
it.
think that works just fine.
Yeah.
Uh, I
I
think
don't really got much to add to that.
that's fine. I had a lot to say about Warhammer that I couldn't talk to anybody else about because I didn't want my like passion to come out, so that when I talked about it today, I wouldn't be as passionate about this thing that I love a lot, that is potentially going to be something I start doing again, because I fell out of it because it didn't live up to my expectation of the thing that I loved before. If
It's
that
kind of
makes
like
if that makes any sense at all.
no, and like to relate it back to like the hobbies I've been doing, like with Yu-Gi-Oh. That's kind of how I felt. I fell out of love with Yu-Gi-Oh because it became a game I didn't really like, and it started to become fun again with a lot of its recent releases. And God, it's like all I do now. So
Yeah,
I totally get what you mean by that.
yeah, and like what's nice is that and I'm specifically talking Warhammer 40K right now. Like Age of Sigmar is in a great spot. I'm always playing the game. Like that one is specifically a game that I'm playing and having a fun time with. I mean, we tried it back in first and second edition, and those editions really weren't great. And then third edition came out, and it's been really fun.
Hmm.
So I'm not counting Age of Sigmar because it's already super fun and it's in a good spot. But Warhammer 40K is the game that I've been with for 20 years.
Hmm.
20 years, plus, obviously, because we're still aging. But 20 years I've been with this game, and to watch it go from a game that I absolutely loved. I would like religiously read the rule books so that I could be on top of the rules and on top of my army's codex rules, and being into the lore, and buying armies, and painting some of them and not all of them. Like I was with this game for so long, and then even as life was changing and I moved away and got was job hopping for a little bit, I was still somewhat into the hobby and telling people how much I loved the hobby.
Hmm.
And then 8th edition came out, and it was not the same. It was like I was drinking Coca-Cola for so long, and then they were like, "Okay, well, we're actually going to go into Pepsi now." And then I was drinking Pepsi for a couple of months and maybe a year, and I was like, you know what? I really just don't want to drink Pepsi anymore. And then now, 10th edition is coming out, and they're like, hey, just so you know, Coke and Pepsi are now working together, so you can pick and choose which one you want to drink. And I'm like, oh man, I think I might start drinking Coke again.
Yeah.
Like,
No, like literally, it's going back to that old time that we used to have. Because like you said, we never stopped following 40K. We still play a
no,
lot of the games. We still learn about what's going on. We still look at all the models, and
yeah,
like we're always observing the game, even when we didn't play it. Um, because it became a whole other beast. It became Pepsi.
yeah, and I'll always love everything about 40K. Like, I'll still love the lore and some of the armies and characters and models. Like I will love those things, but I think it was good for me to stop lying to myself and saying that I was having fun in 8th and ninth edition.
Yes.
Not that I was actually that I ever really played a full game of ninth edition. Like I had a trial game, that was about it, and it was okay, but it really didn't feel any different from 8th edition. And yeah, I think it was just I didn't want to force myself to like it because I wasn't having fun.
Mm.
So I think with 10th edition's announcement, and if they keep to what they're promising, I think I might find my game again. I'll start drinking Coke again, and and I mean that's the ultimate goal, really. The ultimate win is me playing Age of Sigmar and 40K, like playing
Right,
both
because
of
then
the
you could
games.
play anything.
Yeah, and then I could utilize, half the stuff that's in my closet right now because I can't right now because I don't play 40K.
Mm.
You know, and I don't have to sit there and contemplate if I want to sell these things or not because I'm looking at it and going, I'm never going to use this again. But it looks like the game is changing for the good, at least in my eyes. And I don't know. I mean, this is all just personal opinion, and I'm not saying that this is what the majority of people think, but for me, I think it's going to change for the better, and at least for my gaming needs, I think 40K is gonna be fun again.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's a lot of Warhammer we got out.
Yeah, I think that we pretty much touched on everything. Oh wait, no, actually we didn't.
What did we not touch on?
The new Age of Sigmar stuff.
I had mentioned it briefly with the Cities of Sigmar stuff. Was there more than that?
Did you not see the Seraphon stuff?
I have not seen any of the new Seraphon stuff.
Oh, dude, they revealed everything.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, they revealed all the new Seraphon like skink riders on the Raptors. They revealed the new Croxagore models that they've got. And then they're also they're also coming out with a special edition box like for your Slaves to Darkness.
Oh god, I don't have the money for this.
It comes out with all the new models. It comes out with the new Star Seeker, I think they're called.
Oh god.
And then it has, the special edition Battle Tome and all the other bells and whistles that the special edition boxes come with. But yeah, they revealed everything and when it's coming out. So
When is it coming out?
it still comes out in July
Okay.
or July. It was either June or July. I know it's a summer month, but they revealed that it was the first summer month Battle Tome to come out because
Jesus.
they also revealed the other battle tomes in the roadmap. So this actually tomorrow, the Blades of Corn and Hedonites of Slanesh, those are released. They were on pre-order last week, so they're released tomorrow. And then they revealed Oziark Bone Reapers and Soulblight Gravelords are the next two Death Armies to be
Okay,
there.
okay.
Which I thought Soulblight had theirs already, so I was kind of hoping for Flesh Eater Courts, but they might just, retcon that army out of the game.
Well, now here's the thing. They might not too, because I thought they'd retcon Cities of Sigmar, or we both thought at one point that they'd retcon or like get rid of the Beast of Chaos.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, so those are the next two death ones, and then it's going to be Seraphon.
Jesus, I'm not even close to being done with these goddamn Slaves to Darkness.
We'll get a move on, bro. D's.
I'm not made of money. These models are expensive.
Oh, I thought you meant like building. I wasn't telling you to buy more.
Even then, like I got so many units I need to get the 1,500 points we're going for.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is that's why it's a slow grow. Like this month, did you buy anything for March?
I have not bought anything for March.
Okay,
I used a lot of my money for my my anniversary.
sure. Yeah, the only reason I haven't gotten anything for March is because it's not available.
Right.
Still waiting for my Gorgon box kit so I could buy 2 of those and finish off my 1,500 points. Because I mean,
GW.
my slow grow will be done when those 2 models happen. Well, I'll at least have the 1,500. I would like to get 2,000 and get those extra Bulgors at some point, but
Right.
but yeah, it's gonna be a strong. or not as strong, but like well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be a strong summer for us in our hobbies, because summertime's gonna come out and the Seraphon Battle Tome will be there. But at the same time, 10th edition comes out in the summer, so it's gonna be a bit of a balance.
I'm gonna be real. If we're doing 40k, I'm probably not gonna get the Seraphon right away.
That's fine. They're not going anywhere, my man.
They're not. But yeah, I think that's good for Warhammer talk here. We've gone for about almost an hour for Warhammer talk. We got a whole program here.
That's fine, dude. Like we don't have time frames on these things.
We don't.
Oh, another quick note for Warhammer. Last one. They came out with another. I think it was for Necromunda or it was for Kill Team. I don't remember exactly which mini or standalone box game or whatever. Mm-hmm. But the Beasts of Chaos are in 40k now.
I hate that. Why?
there's just Chaos Goatmen with guns running around now.
God, so stupid. Oh, jeez. That's awesome. That sounds like a Necromunda thing.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. I like it.
I like it too. That's where they can embrace a little more silliness.
Yeah, the leader of the little group, because it's just like a small little faction, would actually make a pretty good Great Bray Shaman model.
Things to think about.
Yeah, well, I don't play Bray Herd, so.
Facts. So, let's move on to our next topic. I'm sure we could go on for Warhammer for like another 10 hours, but...
God, my voice hurts.
Yeah. Well, what sucks is you're probably going to be talking more because we need to go behind the DM screen.
Damn it. All right.
I mean, unless you want me to talk again, because I can do other stories.
Yeah, go for it, man. If we got a little time, maybe I'll just touch on mine. But yeah, if you've got one, go for it.
Sure. I want to take you back to my famous campaign I was running, Hydlide.
It was famous.
Very famous. We had talked a bit about how most DMs will kind of make stuff up as they go along, because you need to know how to improv and you can never be prepared for what your players are going to do. I learned this very well, in the introduction to Hydlide. Like you had mentioned, I was with like 8 players. My first time with a bunch of people I didn't know. And when I was DMing that game, I planned out this whole thing. It was a carnival scene like you see in like Chrono Trigger, where everyone would be going out playing these games, and it was meant to like flesh out the personality and characteristics of all the players at the table, along with just kind of poking fun at them and having some fun. What I was not prepared for was the introduction of Rahab the Ruthless. So Rahab the Ruthless was Chris's character, and he was a very well-known pirate.
Notorious, some would say.
And the idea that I had to introduce him was he would meet at... I for the record, just as a side note, I steal a lot of names from like games and stuff to put into it. No relation to them in the games. I just like the names and I don't want them to go to waste. So they arrive at Port Sarum, and they are going to the carnival or the festival of sealing. I was gonna have them.
It's just the way that you say that just makes me think of Patrick from SpongeBob. We're going to the carnival. We're going to the carnival.
Oh my god.
Sorry, go ahead.
I forgot about that. So they're getting all set for this carnival scene, and we get the introduction of Rahab the Ruthless and his wife. And my plan for them was to, I don't know, I thought Rahab maybe had a bit of a heart, could pay this carriage driver to get to the festival, or maybe they'd have a small little traveling montage. Little did I know, that Rahab came prepared, put a gun to his head, and said, "Take us there." Now,
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay, he's gonna let him go afterwards. He didn't. He said, "You're gonna stay out here and wait for us." And he did. And I realized, I'm gonna have to keep this goddamn carriage driver throughout this whole campaign, aren't I? And
You really kind of did.
And that's the thing. We did. Up until you got to the Desert of Agrabah, you kept the carriage driver everywhere you went. He was... I had plans to have, like, long... montages through... and, encounters through, like, forests and everything while you were traveling. But you had the carriage driver. So half of that was gone because you had the ride. You weren't open on the road. So... It was a cool lesson too, because not only everyone enjoyed the carriage driver too. It was funny, but it was really cool as a DM to not be prepared to have a minor character be so involved with the group itself. You guys never even learned the carriage driver's name. He was just carriage driver.
Yeah, he was just driver.
Yeah, he was just driver. And it's a fun moment. I really like those experiences you can have with your player, because it goes to show that players can attach themselves to the most minor of characters.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is there'll be plenty of NPCs where you'll hear the stories. Like, if you listen to horror stories or people telling about adventures they've done in tabletop RPGs where they have, like, the little cute character that they keep around, like the NPC that they found, or I forgot what, like, the typical goblin that they...
Bob and the Goblin?
Bob and the Goblin, there you go. Yeah. Some people, everybody has their own Bob and the Goblin story, and every so often, there's, like, the NPC that just sticks around because if they were to lose them, the party would be at a loss for a little bit.
Right. It also reminds me of another Rahab story, if I could tell one more real quick.
Go for it, man. My voice thanks you.
So, in that same campaign, the group is ambushed. They're low level at this point, and I just wanted to test what their combat ability would be. I think I did start you guys off at level 3. And I just wanted to be like, okay, I just want to see, because I remember when I was first playing D&D, a group of 3 goblins, like, killed your wizard, and I'm still new to DMing, so I don't want a repeat of that. Let's test to see where they're at. And I had you guys get ambushed by goblins. Not only did you just wipe out almost all the goblins in one round of combat, Rahab wanted to get some info out of one.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this story.
And so, what did Rahab the Ruthless do? Now, did he just torture him? Did he, try to do an intimidation check to get some information out of him? He did. He tried an intimidation check. It didn't work because the goblins didn't know anything because they're petty thieves. And so Rahab was like, okay, you don't want to give me any info. The info he doesn't have. So he goes over to the nearest body of water and drowns the goblin in front of all of his allies around him, who are just in shock that they're just watching him just drown this tiny goblin with no hope of escape.
I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Rahab was asking him questions, and then the goblin is only speaking in Goblin, and so Rahab's response was just, "What's that? You're thirsty? Okay." And then brought him over to the little body of water.
I wanted to make something out of that so bad. I remember, when we were coming up with new ideas, when I was trying to figure out what to do with Hideline next for these in between rounds where people were missing or something. I remember one of the things I had was a goblin base, and I remember you guys did that, the Gobork base, where you guys had to navigate through these giant towers and away from this huge mass of goblin and orcs. I wanted something simple to fight and kill. And I remember one of the ones that escaped, or that Austin let escape, was like king of all these goblins and orcs that he gathered. He was just trying to figure out who it was.
I remember that.
That wasn't as good of a time as the drowning of the goblin, but I will always remember Rahab just annihilating a goblin in front of his allies.
I think that that Gobork Tower, wasn't that the one where Lucas challenged that one orc to a Makara?
Yes, it was, because Lucas just knows orcish rules like that.
Yeah, it's true. He was a intelligent bastard royalty.
God, there was so much potential with that character.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I wish I had the confidence of a DM as a DM now that I did back then.
Oh yeah. Well, it all comes with time and experience.
Yeah. I would personally say to new DMs, you should love your stories, but as a new DM, understand that sometimes those stories will have to be abandoned.
Yeah.
It hurts, it sucks, but you always come up with a new idea that you will be excited about to play.
I'm with Gloryhammer being disbanded, it kind of makes me feel like my Fife adventure for Dungeons and Dragons is kind of like the world of Fife in general is like what do they call that? Public domain. So like
Yeah.
I could probably make some money off of this adventure now.
Who knows?
They're like, oh yeah, I could just Angus McFife, Zargathrax, the Plains of Cowdenbeath, all that stuff. It's all public domain now.
I'll go ahead and do one more to give your voice a little bit more of a rest before we move on to the next topic.
Cool.
Last one I'll do, again, it's a Rahab story, because those are just my favorite.
They were good. They were fun.
The way I structured Hydlide, what I had done was that each land, because it was split off into 3 continents and then a couple islands to the north. The way I had structured the campaign was each continent or each body of land was to have certain elements of roleplay and combat, and they would usually relate to a character when you go there. When you went to the north on the islands, it related to Rahab, because the players were going to... the players actually died at sea fighting a Leviathan. And they were kind of placed in the in-between life and death by Davy Jones to help him gather the pieces of 5, I called it, from the pirate lords. One of those pirate lords was named Deadshot Barry.
Oh.
Now, Deadshot Barry went through many iterations while I was making him. The first iteration was he was going to be the coolest goddamn gunslinger I'd ever make.
He was gonna be like the Cad Bane of pirate lords.
Literally, that was his whole thing. Was he was going to be the guy that never misses. He could just one tap people. It was gonna be like this really intense fight. And then I got to thinking, they just got through 2 different islands of combat. I really want to give them a break from combat, because combat can be exhausting. And an 8-on-1 scenario just isn't as fun if you're not a giant monster. So, I devised a plan in my brain and said, what if Deadshot Barry was that gunslinger, but for sport? And what if he challenges one person here for his pieces of 5 to a competition? A little, Olympic Games of the island that he lives on alone. And He wasn't going. He was gonna have like a cool cowboy personality. Turned out not to be that. Deadshot Barry turned into someone who got his head blown off, or not his whole head, but like parts of his head blown off, and it made him not be able to think and come up with ideas very well.
He seemed to me, it seemed like he planned to be like this Lone Ranger kind of cowboy, but then he ended up being like Big Lebowski.
Literally, that's
what he became.
And one of the characters in the group, Fane. Fane was the one chosen as the one to do all the competitions, and in the end, it was all just about rolling dice. There was no skill involved in any of this. They could have lost at any point. And in which case, there would probably have been a combat or something. I didn't plan that far. I was just hoping you'd win.
Yeah, I find myself in that situation still in life when when I'm running games, where there'll be a moment where I go, "Oh man, I didn't plan out if they lose. I should probably do that."
Like, man, this is not going to be good if they lose, because I don't know what to do. They just had probably the best combat in the campaign that we had against Blackbeard, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I was still a little butthurt. I didn't get to keep Blackbeard's sword.
I couldn't make it. And if I were DMing now, back then, I would have let you keep the sword, because I didn't care how powerful you got.
Right.
But I, at the time, was like, no, he'd be really overpowered if he kept the sword, because it does all this stuff and blah. But, Fane actually ended up doing the competition with everyone, and won, luckily. But Barry didn't remember where he put the pieces of 5. So they had to go into his crypt, into like where his body was laid. And Fane had to like dissect this body to where the piece of 5 went. Ended up being up his butt, because that'd be the funny point.
Oh yeah.
Because, why not make a little funny, stupid humor at the expense?
Funny poopy.
Funny poopy, yeah. I look back fondly on that, because that character went through so many iterations that I couldn't stick to one, and in the end, I went for comedy, and it worked out better that way.
I think so. I mean, considering we had so we had 2 islands of combat, an island of drama, and then finally we had the comedy island.
God, I wish I would have played the Proudmoore Island way better.
I mean, I don't think it was terrible.
I think that was just bad, because it felt like I was trying to force your past to be revealed rather than having it happen more naturally. And I think if I were to DM it now, I would have spaced out your past a lot better through the 4 islands rather than just condensed into that one.
Yeah, which is fair. That way some more spotlight can be on other characters throughout the time we're playing. Although, I think so looking back at it now, in my personal opinion, I think out of all those islands that we went to, the one that I didn't care for the most was actually the what was his name? The kid, Billy the Kid, or
Captain
something
Kid.
like that? Captain Kid, yeah.
I had such good plans for that one too.
Yeah, I just didn't really care for his whole genjutsu shtick.
Here's the thing. The idea of it was to be caught in this grand illusion where I wanted to make it a mystery originally. But I was still so fresh to DMing. I didn't know how to handle a mystery and discovering that this town and these people were all illusions of this one kid who was just so lonely after losing his parents.
Right. And like you said, being such a fresh DM, it's hard to build that kind of or well, actually, it's hard to not just set that up for yourself, but then to build up that anticipation for the payoff in the end. So
Exactly.
it ended up just kind of being a thing where this teleporting kid was just, all over the place, and then people's world would melt around them, and then it ended up being a combat with a boat. So it was, yeah, it was.
It was so bad. And like we played so much around that because a big thing I liked to do at the time, and I still like to do it, is I'll talk to the players if their past is going to be involved at all to make sure it like lines up and it's something that they're comfortable with like encountering. And we wanted to explore Rahab the Ruthless, his backstory, and him actually like burning down this random kid's home during his pillages.
Yeah.
And like it was supposed to be like a consequence moment, like Rahab having to like reflect on his past and him going like, am I the bad guy?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is secretly and within himself, Rahab always knew he was the bad guy. Like he did what he did because he thought he was wronged, and then the only way to right that wrong was to get just as dirty as the people that wronged him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all in his song, or his little shanty.
Which I just amazed you came up with that. Like
I wish
it
I would have.
was
Oh, go ahead.
no, it was just I just want to say it was just incredible to like watch that come to life and like reading lyrics and like going, oh my god, I could do so much with this.
Yeah, I still have it written down too, so I still have Rahab's haunting sea shanty.
I tried like pushing that a little early when you guys got into Port Sarum when the fake Rahab tried to invade it. I tried to get that song kind of in the minds of people, but they said there's a women singing softly and they wanted nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I mean that's a little sus. People would probably be like, no, that's a siren. Don't need that.
That's a siren. We're not dealing with that. I think I'll stop with my tales in behind the DM screen for that. I got plenty more, including ones that aren't about Hideline. But
Yeah.
if you'd like to share yours, I don't know if you just want to save yours again, or if you want to tell yours with your voice finally having a break.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can at least talk about the most recent one. It's not like a fond memory or a funny moment or anything like that. I just figured that I would touch on what it was like to play with a group of brand new players again. Uh, it's not my first time doing it, where the entire group has never played the game before, never rolled a d20 in their life. Um, it's just been a long time because I've been with a group of people who have been playing now for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Saturday group still, like, they'll have questions from time to time, but they're not questions like a new person would be asking, or they're not shifting around to find out which one's the D8. Like there's a
Right.
lot of that. There's a lot of that with new players too. So,
Totally.
uh, but yeah, so it was 2 Sundays ago, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it was last Sunday. So last Sunday, I played. I had gotten a guy at work, and his wife, and his buddy, and his buddy's wife, and their kid to play Dungeons and Dragons for the first time.
Wow.
And I came up with a small world that had multiple islands on it, and everybody was from different islands, and they all ended up being like bounty hunters, and they were told to meet up at this place at this time. And like I'm just completely skipping over the uh character making process because it took about an hour and a half to get everybody's characters at least in the uh I don't know what you call it, at least in the zone to be able to play.
Yeah.
Like to where they had spells ready, weapons picked out, a class, a race, all of that stuff. I skipped over backgrounds because if I would have gone into backgrounds, like it would have taken forever, and I only wanted to be there for like 3 hours. I ended up being there for 5.
Well, and
So
in the end, you want that sort of simplified D&D when you start, so it's probably best you
exactly.
skip that.
Yeah. I mean, like for the most part, I think everything went really smooth. Everybody had a great time, but yeah. So I had them all meet up as a bunch of bounty hunters who had worked together before, but they're not super friendly with each other. Uh, and I had them go out into like a forested area because the note had changed and told them to head that way, and they fought against a monster called a Militar, which is like a millipede but with a humanoid body and weapons and stuff. Um, so they fought against that thing, and then after the cleric exploded the thing using she because my friend's wife was playing a storm cleric, which is my favorite class in the entire game.
Totally.
uh she found a way to channel divinity and use thunderwave for max damage and just completely explode the chitin off of this thing. It was really cool. But so after they did that, the map then, or the piece of paper they had then told them to uh come back or something like that, and then they stayed outside and rested so they could get all their health back. And in the middle of the night, their employer actually came and was like, hey, you guys did a good job, you're the first to actually beat this thing and actually complete the task that I set out for you, so how about doing one more task for me, and then I will fill you in on what's going on.
Mm.
And they all decided that yeah, we'll do that. And so they had to go to a play called oh, what did I call it, Hellcrest Cave.
Mm.
And within that cave they had to solve a puzzle, and then they fought some skeletons, and then they fought an ogre because they got the puzzle wrong, and then they passed the puzzle, and then they got into a room that was just littered with bones and like zombie pieces. And what they had to do was they had to find royal essence, because I'm not going to get into the deep lore or all that of why they're going and looking for stuff for the king, but essentially they were looking for royal essence. And in the room that the last room that they went into, uh as soon as they got too close to this throne that was sitting on the opposite side,
Mm.
um the door closed behind them, and then all of the bones and zombie pieces started to swirl around each other and then just form this mass ball of death that I called the amalgamation of death. And
Okay.
it was essentially uh I used the character traits of like Leoric for this character.
I love
uh
that.
and and he summoned a bunch of skeletons that they had to fight, and he didn't attack or anything like that, but at every time his turn came around, he would use like a life draining ability, so everybody would have to make like a con save. And if they failed that con save, they would take I believe it was 1d10 necrotic damage, and then they would heal, or he would heal based off the amount of damage that he dealt. And so it ended up being a pretty close fight. I mean, out of the, let's see, there was 6 out of the 6 players. Only 2 of them were left standing at the end of the fight, and then the rogue
Wow.
came up and stabbed the ghost in the eyes, and then exploded, and then all of the life force went back into everybody. But it ended up being a really intense fight, and they liked it. And they had a blast. They thought they were dead, and yeah, it was a really good time. And basically, I left it on a cliffhanger too because I love doing that. So it's
Always a good
like,
feeling.
oh yeah, so it's like right when the amalgamation exploded, they watched as like this glowing crown floated down back onto the throne, and I was like, and I closed the book, and then it's like, you'll have to find out next time. So So they're already.
Pain. Oh, I wouldn't have done that.
Oh, I do it every time. I love it. But yeah, the whole since they'll probably not listen to this podcast, I can just tell you what's going on. But essentially, that that royal essence they found isn't the whole thing. They need to find the rest of it, which is actually going to be that amalgamation of death was just like a fraction of the power of the Skeleton King, because there's three kings that they have to get the royal essence from, and it's the Skeleton King, the Slime King, and the Rat King.
You love slimes, don't you?
I do.
Like
so
you use slimes in every adventure I hear about.
I do. I love using the slime. I feel like they're not like okay. So a lot of people like to use goblins. A lot of people like to use kobolds. A lot of people like to use gnolls and orcs. You know, like those things are cool too. But slimes, man, like they can be ruthless. And the fact that like gelatinous cubes are practically invisible when they're not moving. It's just a quick little like, oh, you take a step forward and all of a sudden you feel a burning sensation like your skin is dissolving, and then everybody freaks out, and then like it's just I love using slimes.
Slimes are very deadly and very scary.
Just call me Dragon Quest, because I love me slime.
Hey. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Throw a callback.
Thanks. But yeah, it was a good session, and they're all amped for session 2. Oh, I guess technically it'll be session 1, because that was our session 0.
Right.
Laying down how the game's going to be played and rules and all that. They're only level 2, but at level 2, the majority of them had gotten. Well, actually, no, it was just the one wizard and the 2 clerics got their like their archetypes or whatever.
Hold on a gosh darn second. You had them fight the amalgamation of death at level 1?
Level 2.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they everybody was level 2, so only the wizard and the 2 clerics had their archetypes.
Okay, I was about to say, like, whoa!
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the amalgamation of death. It was just a amalgamation of death.
Right. Still, that's cool. It's always an interesting feeling to play with newer players that don't know this game, because some of them are just like really nervous to play. It's
they are. I mean, like we had so 2 of the guys in that group were like amped up and ready to play, and it was fun because like some of the comments that were made while we were playing too were it's good to hear those things, not just as a dungeon master, but it's good to hear those things because people are getting into it and they're having fun and having a good time. Like, so there were times while we were playing where one of the guys, so I had mentioned how one of them brought his son to play, and he was taking selfies with him, and then like captioning them as first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then like the 2 kids that were there, they had played a game previously, but I guess it wasn't very good because we were halfway through the game, and then one kid turns to the other and goes, "This is already way better than the last game." And then the most exciting part was when the amalgamation of death revealed himself. I used I don't know if you're familiar with the model, but I used the Purple Sun of Shayesh model.
Yes.
I used the endless spell as the amalgamation. So as soon as that hit the board and I turned the boss battle music on, that same guy and then my buddy Sean, like both of them like whipped their phones out and started taking pictures of the models, and there are guys facing down this amalgamation of death. It's a good feeling, and it's just like, man, like they're getting into it right now.
I do truly believe that models can have such an impact on like the game state of a battle in D&D.
Oh yeah, like the visuals play a huge part. And I love theater of the mind. I love being able to explain what you're looking at and then trying to paint the picture for you. But then when it comes to certain times, like in combat, like just having some massive thing get thrown onto the board, uh, comparatively to the characters that you're using, um, is just like there's no feeling like that. And then hearing like the pure joy when when the rogue finally got, so was it our paladin had 2 health left, and then our rogue was down to half health, and then everybody else was down, and then the rogue finally, he ran over and he did one stab attack, and then his second stab attack, with having sneak attack damage on top of that because the paladin was right there, and then just telling him, you know, I did the whole how do you want to finish it off, and then just the whole table going yeah, like just erupting because they killed the monster. So it was like, man, that was awesome.
That's such a good feeling that I'm jealous you have that because I've never had that feeling of that excitement when a monster is downed.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, that's the thing too, is like, especially with the Saturday group, it doesn't happen as often anymore. Like it used to be something, I feel like it's something that fresh eyes are the ones that do stuff like that. I mean, like players like us who get into it will absolutely be like, oh yes, finally we beat the thing. But like in the Saturday group, when I play with them, I truly, it's still an exciting feeling, and fights can be fun, but it's getting to that point now where, when a monster finally is defeated, it's more of like a groan than anything, where it's just like, oh, finally it's dead. Like,
Oof.
like, oh, finally it's dead. Come pick me up or something like that. And again, it's not every single fight. Some fights are, all right, we figured out the gimmick. Good job, guys, or good job, team.
Hmm.
Or, oh, geez, that thing was just a damage sponge. Finally, it's dead. Let's move on, team. So it's never because I ask for feedback at the end of every session too, and I go, hey, was that too much combat, not enough role play, like what did we have a good balance of everything? And the past couple of sessions for Silver Bullet has been mostly role play, um and they all keep saying that everything is balanced fine, and I said, hey, like I want some criticism, like give me something that you think could be critiqued. And they all say everything is fine. They say that, like they're moving. The only reason like we're moving at a slower pace is because they're having a hard time, discussing things or making a decision.
Hmm.
So, it is what it is. They keep telling me that everything's fine, so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I have some pretty gimmicky fights for them to do. And
Well, it remind that kind of mentality is kind of like what I had in Hideline when we were playing. Because I remember I would ask for like feedback and things to change, and I remember I felt so bad about how things were going, and you were over there telling me like everyone had a great time. Like I don't know why you're freaking out about it.
yeah, well, and that's every session though. Like I do the same thing every single session where I'm just like, man, I feel like I could have played that moment a little better, or I think I could have, added a little more role play here, or maybe I could have made that combat a little easier so it didn't last an hour and a half. The biggest critic that you're gonna have is yourself.
Totally.
Always, it'll always be you are your biggest critic. You are your worst bully, your greatest enemy. But if everybody is having a good time, and as long as you're still having a good time, then there's nothing to change. Like my players, my Saturday players. Here's another like back and forth between the game, or the Saturday group and the Sunday group. Sunday group is with Sean and everybody, the guys
Yeah.
from work. But so the Saturday group, they uh do not like when I put puzzles and riddles into the game. They do not like it. They respect the fact that it has to be there, because if it was a combat only game, combat wouldn't be as fun.
Totally.
So they do like it when it's in the game, but every time one pops up, they're like, oh god. Um, but then the night and day of it on the Sunday crew or the Sunday group, they told me specifically put more riddles and puzzles in your game, and I'm like, oh, all right.
So it's nice when you run those kind of multiple games because that second group will sometimes have those that feedback that you like to, because I know you really like puzzles. You really like to
I
make
do.
puzzles.
I like to put puzzles and riddles in my games. I really do, and it's mostly because it gets my team to critically think. Like I was surprised on the Sunday group with players that have never played the game before. Sean's wife was thinking critically about just like the littlest things. And I'm like, are you sure you haven't played this game before? Because I mean, we're talking after the first combat with the Militar.
Hmm.
Um, she was like, let's take a rest. We can do that, right? Like we can lay down and rest. I was like, yeah, you can do what's called a long rest, and it'll fully heal you. It'll take 8 hours. Um, and she's like, oh man, 8 hours, and we're in the middle of the forest. She's like, what time is it? Say, well, it's the had to meet at noon. Took an hour to go here, blah, 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 and I calculated time, and I was like, it was about 3 in the afternoon. And she's like, okay, well, if we're resting into the night for 8 hours, and we're gonna try to stay resting until the morning, it's gonna be like 12 hours. So let's go find a place in the bush or inside the forest where we're not in this clearing, so we have a bunch of cover. We're not gonna start a fire. We're gonna try to keep warm in other ways. And I was like, man, I feel like you've played this game before.
Right, like that's actually a thing. Like
She was
and I remember you were telling me like your group had I don't know your other group is very much into combat. Your Saturday group, your
yes,
Sunday one, I think does have that critical factor where you're like we're I think they're that immersed into the characters in the world, and just like they have the perspective if I was there, you know.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Like she was going full on survival mode. Like I don't want to light a fire because that could attract bad things. I want to make sure that one of us is keeping watch. Like who's an elf? Who's going to meditate for 4 hours while I sleep for 8? All that jazz.
Yeah, and that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling.
Yeah. So the Sunday group has definitely given me. I don't know. It was kind of like that little extra. Like it was like dessert almost. Like
Mm.
so my Saturday group is like a full course meal, or not a full course, but a 3-course meal, and then my Sunday group was like just like a special dessert that I got to have, or
Yeah.
like the mint on my pillow when I got back to the room. That's what they were.
Yes. And that mint hits different.
It does. It does. So
But that's awesome,
yeah,
man. And new can be so fun.
yeah, like and that's the thing. It's hit or miss with new players because you're either gonna get a group that feels like they're not really enjoying themselves, or they're not really getting into the game or the characters, and then they just don't want to play anymore. But the fact that I was told, so Sean's wife apparently doesn't like games at all.
Hmm.
Like she doesn't like board games, card games, like nothing like that. She's just not into games. And he's like, oh, I'm a little hesitant because she might not want to sit there for a while for that long, and you know, and she might start getting on her phone or walking around and doing some other stuff because she just can't sit still. And she ended up staying at the table, sitting and playing for the entire 5 hours that we played. And she didn't even realize that 5 hours went by. So it was like,
Well, and I
it,
think D&D has that advantage over like board games and stuff, that it's not just like a set game. You're constantly doing something with you as a player.
yeah,
And role playing helps so much in that.
it does. Well, that's the thing is, there's more player involvement in it than there is in like a board game where you have to wait your turn.
Mhm.
Like yeah, there's turn waiting in combat or when you're doing role play scenarios. But I mean, if she just wanted to go up and talk to an NPC, then she did that, or if she wanted to speak with the Midian, who was the guy who gave them the bounty.
Mm-hmm.
Questions like any sort of question she had for any NPC, she would go and ask and talk with them. And like we even had the rogue. The rogue had wanted to gather some information uh, on the Hellcrest cave or Hellcrest cavern or whatever I called it.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to gather information on that place before we even went there. So he's like, I'm gonna go over to the tavern and I want to. I kind of had to like slow him down a little bit. I was like, well, hold on. First, you have to know if there is a tavern here,
Right.
and then is anybody else going with him, and blah blah. Because like I don't want you to just walk off alone. Because what if something happens in there and then you're by yourself? Um, so yeah, I mean, he was full on like, I want to go talk to the tavern keeper. I want to ask him some questions, see if there's any rumors that he's heard about this place, or if there's any myths or legends or something. And they did. They found out that the place was haunted and smelled like dead bodies all the time. And so that was not a surprise to them when they found all of the bones and corpses laying inside the cave.
Yeah, that's a really good like. It's a good way to. I'm having trouble with words. You're a really good DM in that regard, Chris,
Oh, thank you.
because other people would have let him do that. Like I've done that. I remember the whole carnival scene in Hideline. I let people just go off on their own. In the desert, I let Austin go off on his own, which we all agreed was a mistake. But I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And you're really good in that regard because you really don't. You hate when people split up in general in Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, it's kind of like one of the number one rules. Aside from having fun, you don't split the party.
Right.
And if the party is, say, in a dungeon or they are in town and they do want to go into separate stores and things like that, that's their decision. But if I've got like new players who are just like, well, I'm gonna go wander off, and I was like, whoa, hold on, before you do that or as you're doing that, all of you guys, you see this guy wandering off. Do you want to say something? Do you want to stop him? Do you want to go with him? Something like that.
Right.
Just so that it's not like one person going and having all the dialogue with all the characters.
And then like someone's just sitting. People are just sitting there for like an hour waiting for their scenario to be done, so we can get back to theirs. And that's when it feels like the board game.
Yeah. Well, and I actually, what was it? The kids that were playing with us.
Mm-hmm.
So they pre-made their characters before they got to the table.
Oh wow.
And I was like, all right, let me see your character sheets. I don't know if these kids were blatantly cheating or if they just didn't know what they were doing when they made their characters.
Okay.
Because one was a barbarian and one was a wizard. The barbarian, level 2, had an 18 armor class. I'm like, hold up here. Why? There's no reason you should be having an 18 armor class right now.
Yeah, that might be just a tad much.
Especially the way that he spec'd his character. He had a -1 in his dexterity and then a +2 in his con. So, or no, he had a +1 in his con and a -1 in his dex. So he only had an 11 armor class.
Well, don't barbarians get natural armor for not wearing anything?
Yeah, it's your con plus your dex.
Oh no.
Yeah. So he had a +2 in con and a -1 in dex, which equaled out to an 11.
Yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why he had an 11 armor class. And then the wizard also had his thing wrong. He had a 12 armor class wearing no armor. So I'm like, why do you have a 12? Like, you're a wizard, you're wearing a cloak, you got 10. You got 10 armor.
Yikes. Well, new players probably read something wrong.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of what I'm assuming, is that they just didn't know what they were doing and they were just kind of writing stuff down. But, on the off chance that they were cheating, I made sure to let them know that none of this was correct.
You gotta let them know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then like the wizard didn't pick any spells. He was a wizard that thought, and he thought his two spells were arcane recovery and something and spell casting. Just the word spell casting.
I cast spell casting.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, 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 those are abilities. They're not your spells. So we had to pick out some spells for him, but um, he chose to go with Jim's magic missile instead of just the regular magic missile, which, like one is technically stronger, but the other one automatically hits. So it's
Yeah,
like I personally would go with the one that automatically hits.
true. But you know what? They gotta learn.
They did. Yeah, they most definitely learned. But yeah, I mean it was an overall good experience. They all, like I said, they all had a great time and they're already waiting for the next game. I don't know when it's going to be. Not anytime soon because, I've got wedding anniversary coming up next week and
Oh God, you do.
yeah, and then I'm going to be doing a lot of overtime in April to make up for some high expenditures recently. But
Ah, expenditures.
but yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, good time. That was a
Speaking of
little.
high expenditures, Chris.
Oh yeah, give it to me.
Speaking of high expenditures, Chris, do you know the droids from Star Wars?
I love the droids from Star Wars.
Can this was your topic, and I wanted to go to that one because there was no other good segue.
That okay. All right, lay it on me.
I didn't really know what the segue would be for this one, but hey,
It wasn't even a
droids, am I
segue.
right?
It wasn't even a segue. It was a hey, shut up about Dungeons and Dragons and let's move on.
That's not what I said. Speaking of expensive things, droids, am I right?
Yeah, it takes a lot of Republic credits to make those things.
Depending on the droid, yes.
That's true.
So you came up with this topic of Star Wars droids, very off topic to everything else we were talking about. But I'm curious. Can you tell me what is your favorite droid and why?
I can tell you in a single breath, Droidica, favorite droid.
They're so cool.
They are, super mobile, lightsaber proof. They have heavy laser blasters on both of their arms, twin linked heavy laser blasters, if I may say.
Hey.
I mean, they're just optimal in so many, like their nicknames are destroyer droids because that's exactly what they do. They're Jedi killers, they're light vehicle killers. They're just so good at everything they do.
And while the Droidica are really cool and probably the best droid, it was unfortunately the wrong answer for what is the best droid. Because the answer is the Gonk droid.
What? Is
that not a droid?
It is a droid, but I said the Confederacy battle droids.
You told me what was your favorite droid and why. I have picked my favorite droid.
Why is the Gonk droid your favorite?
Because he goes gonk.
Is that like the Star Wars Return to Monkey?
Yes, it absolutely is. It goes gonk.
Hashtag return to Gonk.
Hashtag return to gonk. But in terms of battle droids, I'm very attached to the super battle droid.
Yeah, the B2s are definitely super versatile.
I love their look. They feel imposing in the context of the Clone Wars. Like, because you have the Roger droids, but when that super battle droid hits, you go, oh, okay, we got it serious here.
Like, oh man, they busted out the expensive droids on us.
Literally, this one's made out of chrome. Oh, okay. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like, like they can mass produce those B1s like consistently and for a pretty decent price, and you can put tons of them out on the battlefield at a time. But as soon as those super battle droids come in, I mean they're essentially your vanguard. Like they're gonna be right at the front.
Oh yeah, they just I feel like besides the B1 battle droids, the B2 really epitomized the Confederacy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
You
yeah,
know,
Gonk droid, best droid.
God damn it.
I mean, what other droid in Battlefront gives you ammo?
The B1 engineer.
I'm turning the stream off. I've been out bamboozled.
To quote BMO from Adventure Time, "Yay, I win!"
Wee. I'm just glad neither of us chose Grievous because I didn't know this personally. Not a droid.
Yeah, he's a cyborg. Duh.
Yeah, I just assumed like, oh, he's just a droid and he's
Wait, no,
just gooey.
hold on. You seriously thought he was a droid the whole time?
Yes, he's like weird.
He had a beating heart and a cough.
Yeah, and I mean, like, have you seen some of the droids in like The Mandalorian? It's weird.
And actual eyeballs and meaty parts.
I just thought it was an aesthetic.
No, he was a guy. Well, he was an alien, but he was an alien that chose to go under this surgery that would turn him into a cyborg.
Now, what kind of person would get rid of their flesh for iron? Looks at the Mechanicus.
Yeah, the flesh is weak, Alex.
You're not wrong. The flesh is weak. When I was looking through like a lot of the battle droids, there's a lot of them, but there's not a lot of them.
I mean, there is kind of like for every clone trooper, there's a battle droid.
No, I meant like in terms of like different classes of droid.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, because like in terms of like classes of droid, there's not many. But yeah, no, my God, they're a swarm. They're a swarm army.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. No, there are actually a lot of different classes of battle droid.
Are there? I was trying to find most of them, and like the ones that I kept finding when I looked up a lot of the droids were just the bounty hunter droids.
No, like there's the B1s have different versatilities that you could do. So there's like the like B1 battle droids, there's the B1 sniper droids, B1 engineers, and then there's B2s, the standard B2 with a wrist blaster. There's the B2Rs, which are the rocket super battle droids.
Mm-hmm.
There's the B2R something. I forgot what it was, but they're actually they have jetpacks and they have 2 wrist rocket launchers.
Terrifying.
Yeah. There is a B3 version, which is like a hulking super battle droid that's made for close combat and has or no, it's not a B3. It's still a B2, but it's made for close combat and has like the same sort of material on their wrists, like the manga guards have.
Oh wait, I'm gonna change my answer from super battle droid to manga guard. Those guys were awesome.
Okay, yeah, manga guards are pretty cool.
Manga guards are pretty freaking cool.
Also a very versatile droid.
Very versatile.
But yeah, I mean, like there's tons of variations of B1s and B2s, and then you've got like the commando droids, you've got the assassin droids, the spider droids, trying to say destroyers. I mean, some of the vehicles alone, like vulture droids, are like an aircraft and also can walk around. You got buzz droids. Yeah, there's a lot of different classifications of droids that the Confederacy used.
A lot of beep boops over here, man. I just want to like Jedi Outcast droid with a lightsaber, you know?
That's what we do.
I like that topic. That was fun.
Yeah.
It's something funny to talk about.
Yeah, I like it.
Moving on to our another segment we do every episode. Chris, I am curious, what game are you playing?
Well, I've actually been... It'll actually answer why I asked you the whole droid question, but I've been playing Battlefront 2.
Nice.
A lot. Not original Battlefront 2, actually. I've been playing the new one.
Interesting. I mean, it's a good game.
It is. It like after they fixed everything and they essentially re-released it with all of the content on it. Um, I've owned the new Battlefront 2 for a long time now, like since they actually did the initial fix like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, but I re-downloaded it because we've been in like a big Star Wars kick in the house recently
I
because
love that.
yeah, the wife had never seen any of the Star Wars before, and so we've been watching the movies. But we're doing Star Wars the long way,
The
so
long way.
because that's what she wanted to do, and I'm like, I'm 100% on board with this. So I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but yeah, we're going in chronological order. So we watched episode 1 and episode 2, and now we're going through the entire Clone Wars series.
Yes.
And then we're gonna go into episode 3, and then we're gonna go into Rogue One, and then I believe it's Star Wars Rebels after that. And so then we have to watch all of the, I think it's 3 seasons of Star Wars Rebels, and
Something like
then
that.
episode 4, 5, and 6, and then uh the Mandalorian and the Bad Batch. Oh no, actually Bad Batch is before 4, 5, and 6 also.
A lot in between 4, 5. There's a lot in between 3 and 4.
Yeah. So there's a good chunk of just like whole series that, because we already watched. So the whole reason it happened is because I finally went through the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
I remember you were like not impressed with it.
It was good. It just wasn't what I was expecting. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it was just not. It wasn't. It definitely wasn't prequel Star Wars.
Totally.
It was not the best Star Wars, the prequels. Like it was very much trying to cater to both prequels and original trilogy uh audience, but I don't know. The choreography was just really sloppy, and I mean it was nice to see Obi-Wan and Anakin again on the screen again, Hayden Christensen and oh my
Ewan
god.
McGregor.
Yeah. Like seeing those guys on the screen again together was awesome. But yeah, like I said, the choreography was just not great for the lightsaber fights.
Hmm.
Nothing like, episodes 1, 2, and 3 at all. It felt more like the choreography from 7, 8, 9, which
Ugh.
is awful because lightsaber fights in 7, 8, and 9 all suck. They're all terrible because there's no lightsaber form combat anymore. It's all just randomly swinging a stick around, and I hate it.
Yeah. It's not
It's
good.
just so go ahead.
No. Battlefront 2. I want to keep hearing what more you have to
Oh
say
sure.
about it.
Oh yeah, sorry. I kind of got off a little topic there, but yeah, essentially we've been on a Star Wars kick, and I've also been building my Star Wars Legion models some more too, just because
Nice.
I only have to finish General Grievous and 6 droidicas, and then I'm done. Um, but yeah, so I've been playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one. I don't have like online for my PlayStation or anything like that, so I haven't been playing online. But it's been fun just doing the instant action and playing the multitude of hero characters. It's really fun playing as B1 battle droids because I kind of wish that was how the original Battlefront 2 did it, where you could play those and then earn your way up to Super Battle Droid instead of them being the standard attack
Yeah.
unit.
It was like that in
But
Battlefront 1, if I remember correct.
no, Battlefront
No?
1 was also Super Battle Droids.
Huh.
Yeah. So this was the first one where you could actually just have a standard B1 battle droid as your guy. Um but yeah, it's been fun. I like the credit earning system that they have in that one, and the fact that vehicles are something that you have to buy with credits instead of just finding them on the map,
Hmm.
or getting some of the specialty units that they have, like the commando droids, or getting like droidica, or hero characters like so I've been playing a lot of Confederacy, obviously,
Well,
because that's my
obviously.
It is my favorite. But like getting Count Dooku and getting Darth Maul and Bosk is on there for some reason, but I just don't think that he's that great of a character. But who am I to judge? General Grievous is fun. He's super fun to play. Connor really likes playing General Grievous.
Is it because he does the fun crawling move?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it's funny to do.
We had a lot of fun. So there's only a couple of scenarios that you can do in co-op in that game. So there was a scenario where we could choose between Vader and Sidious, and then we go around on Yavin 4 and just like murder rebels. It was very fun, actually. So he was like,
that's usually a good feeling.
Yeah, he was stomping around as Vader, just force choking people and sabering guys. And in that game, Sidious can only use Force Lightning for some reason. So I'm just like swirling around using lightning like crazy. And then he's got an ultimate ability he activates and creates a lightning storm around him. And yeah,
that's cool. Battlefront 2 is a really good game.
It is. It has become way better than it used to be, and I'm enjoying the more updated, graphics and the the more updated gameplay style than just what Battlefront 2 has to offer. The original Battlefront 2 still a great game. I'm not taking anything away from it, but I think because of the bad rep that the new Battlefront 2 got, and just the new Battlefronts in general, the bad rep that they got, people are kind of sleeping on them now, but it's still a pretty fun game.
Oh, no doubt. I think I don't think the game's getting updated anymore. I think it's Ubisoft, right? It's like Ubisoft or DICE.
It's EA.
EA's pretty much abandoned the game. I don't think they're doing updates for it anymore. And
actually,
odds are they actually?
Yeah. So the latest stuff that they've been adding in is for the Andor series. Huh. So they're adding in characters from Andor.
Okay, that's cool that they haven't abandoned the game. I could have sworn they said they were done with Battlefront 2.
Yeah, they're still putting content in there, as far as I know.
Good on EA. Good on EA for doing that. They didn't just say, "All right, we're done with this." They got it. We got our money and left.
Yeah, and it's like free content too.
They did promise that early in the game's development. They said, yeah, our content's going to be free updates.
Yeah, like you have to have PlayStation Plus, or I suppose if you have it on computer, it doesn't matter. But for me, since I have it on PS4, you have to have PlayStation Plus in order to utilize all of the free DLC. So that's kind of like the one bummer that I have, is that there's a lot of or I shouldn't say a lot, but a good chunk of content that I can't use just because I don't have the online.
Right. No, that's fair. It is kind of poopy.
Like maybe one day I'll buy the game on my Steam here, but
if I remember correct, I ended up getting the game for free because it was just free on the Epic Games Store a while ago, so I just have it.
Oh, on your computer?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it drops in price, I'll put it in my favorites or something, and then maybe it'll drop in price and I can pick it up, or I can see what G2A has.
Yeah, most likely G2A, because they'll drop it down pretty cheap.
For sure. But what are you playing?
Oh god, so you know how last episode I was like, I can't wait to find out what the first Templar is gonna be like. I'm super excited to keep playing it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, didn't happen. All the plans I had to play it, I was like, all right, I'm super excited. Then I looked at the date and I go, oh my god, it's the 16th. WWE 2K23 comes out tomorrow. And I'm sitting here going, I can wait on the game. I don't need to purchase this game right now. I should wait to see if the game is good. As I'm saying that, I'm adding it to my cart and downloading it. I can wait on this. No, I don't need this right now. I was way too hyped for the game because I've been recently getting really back into wrestling, watching WWE again. But I want to talk about 2K23 because there's a lot I really like about it. to those who've played 2K22, I'm really into like creating wrestlers and creating my own little like my whole show, arenas and things like that. One
The
of my
whole
major,
show, if you will.
yeah, the whole effing show. One of my major gripes from like 2K from 2K22 was that I didn't remember if 2K19 had it, but my major gripe with 2K22 is in the entrance creation is that you weren't allowed to choose different scenes for like ramp, opening, in ring, and things like that. You had one singular motion that you copied from another superstar. It was kind of a gripe for me because I like kind of mix and matching to kind of mix with the song that's going on or to mix with their character's personality. It was frustrating, but I did plenty of work around, and I'm still very proud of the characters I made in 2K22. 2K23 brought it back. You can now edit all of those scenes again, add lighting effects, add pyro, everything. And
Nice.
that was such a welcome change, because as I'm like fiddling around with it, it's just been so nice to just have that option. Graphics are pretty much similar to 2K22. I ain't got much to say about that. I will say, I like the showcase mode better. Nothing against Rey Mysterio, but I just have more interest in John Cena's career. Especially because he's probably done with wrestling, like, soon.
Yeah.
The gameplay is pretty much 2K22. I've been having so much fun with it, though. Like, I've said it before, from when I got back into wrestling a while ago, too, because I kind of go, like, on and off with it. 2K19 was the first wrestling game I played when I came back, and I didn't really like playing the game. I very much liked watching the game, because I liked commentating and things like that.
Yeah. And it was exciting.
I had a lot of fun with it. I still have my 2K19 data saved on there, and I'll look back on it and go, damn, I was so cool and so good at this. In 2K22, it was the first wrestling game I was like, okay, hey, hold on, the gameplay is fun. Like, it's fun to play a wrestling simulation game, which hasn't been the case for, at least for me personally, for a while. And 2K23 is no different. In fact, I'm enjoying it a little more. Actually playing the game. I haven't actually sat and like watched a match from like the computers like I did with the other games, but I'm very much enjoying the game. I do have one gripe with it, and it's very minor because it can also be seen as a positive. So in both 2K22 and 23, there are unlockables in the game that, yeah, you could just buy if you have the season pass. But you can also unlock through like in-game currency you get from playing. The unlockables in 2K23 are the same unlockables from 2K22.
Oh.
So like, it's a yay because wow, so nobody got cut from like the legends. Like Big Boss Man is still in there. You have Ministry Undertaker, both Kanes from 08 and I mean, because he's considered a legend now, and that makes me cry.
Is he officially retired? Like,
oh yeah, he's very much done. He retired a while ago. I think he retired in 2020, where he was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
okay, cool.
Yeah, but they have like his last masked appearance, and then they have 08 Kane, where he was like Slow Chemical, that era of Kane.
The best Kane.
Yeah, it was the best Kane. I love original masked Kane. Slow Chemical Kane is the best Kane.
Yeah, hands down.
But they have all of that you unlock. So yeah, no one got cut, but then you don't have any new unlockable characters that you could buy through currency. The new characters are going to be DLC. So, yay, no one got cut. Boo, no one got added, you know?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer.
It's a bit of a bummer. It's just it's been fun though. Like I'm slowly building it. I really wish 2K would implement an import feature if they're going to utilize the same like graphics engine.
Yeah,
as much
well,
as I
I
love
guess.
creating the characters, it's a pain because I had like 40 characters.
Well, especially too if it's gonna be on the same platform. You know, like if you're playing on the PC, which is what you create all those characters on the first time, like why wouldn't you just be able to transfer your data over?
Yeah, that's been a request for since like 2K19 that people be able to do that
Yeah.
with everything. I hope someday they'll do it. I'm confident that if we get to a point where there's not a lot of extra things they can add to like the engine or customization or legends, that they do end up doing that because we're heading in that direction for more customization in the wrestling games. Because like I think 2K's realized a lot of the fun that comes from these games comes from your custom creations being added.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which reminds me of one other gripe I have with the game. Very minor. It's a very minor gripe, but it bugged me. So in 2K22, you have this thing called My Rise. It's basically your created a character's story mode. In 2K22, you're this new rookie going into the performance center. It has like a point and click style of like interacting with the people around you to like create storylines, cause fights, and like really branch the storyline to multiple different scenarios. Really cool. I didn't mess around with it too much just because I was too busy with my own wrestling creations at the time. But from what I have watched of it, it was really cool, and you could have a lot of different branches to what you could do, and you choose to be like a face or heel and things like that. In 2K23, there's two different showcase modes, or not showcase, two different My Rise modes. You have one where you are like the daughter of a famous legend from the Attitude Era, and you have to decide whether you want to follow in your mother's footsteps or if you want to, like step away from family tradition and make your own name. And I think the other one is like you are a handpicked person to be set to greatness, and everyone's after you. And that's my big problem with them. Isn't the story of them or anything like that. The big problem with them was that you don't know if you're going to make a female wrestler or a male wrestler until you're in those modes.
Oh.
They don't
Okay.
tell you that the legend was a women's wrestler from the past and you're making her daughter.
Right.
So, like, I went into that scenario because I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting, and I have nothing against women's wrestling. It's awesome. I was just prepared to make my character in that scenario. So it was like,
Sure.
well, I mean, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I know I'll eventually go into that mode because I do want to experience My Rise and kind of craft a story with that. But my other fun mode I've genuinely enjoyed since 2K22 was the reintroduction of My GM mode. People had a big problem with 2K22's GM mode saying, oh, it's too easy, it's not fun. You're right, it was easy, and that's why it was fun, because I got to do really stupid stuff in it.
That's the best part, right?
So you can like make your own, because you have to like, you're given like $2 million or something like that, and you have to like draft superstars by signing their contracts, keeping them happy. It's a really cool mode, but you can actually add custom people to the draft and add the legends to the draft. So you can have you can do like a Ruthless Aggression era or an Attitude era or a Classics era of drafting superstars. What I did was I drafted all of my custom characters into the same WWE draft, and I made it a point to only use them or the jobber talent you can hire. And I was like, I'm making ASW right now.
I love it.
and I ended up winning. I mean, I wasn't playing on a hard difficulty or anything, but it was so satisfying to win with just my ASW wrestlers, especially when I was the enemy GM was William Regal. He ended up stealing one of my top talents.
Oh wow.
So he stole an ASW talent. I'm like, you son of a gun. You can't take my boys.
That's crazy.
It was so fun, and 2K23 just adds more to it. They added more abilities, they added more matches, tag belts, mid-card belts. They added just so much more. You can have up to 4 players in my GM mode, which is something I really wish we will do someday. I really enjoyed my GM mode, but I would love to actually do like an actual draft and like actual playthrough of my GM mode with everyone.
That could be cool.
I think that'd be really fun. Maybe even do it with if I can get enough custom characters integrated into the game. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I think put it on the bucket list.
Overall, I think 2K23 is one of the best wrestling games we have gotten in a very long time. It's better than 2K22, and I'd probably put it up there with some of my favorites than like SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, WWE 12, and WWE 13.
Nice.
Like it's so much fun. If you are even like a minor fan of wrestling, I genuinely recommend the game. Even though like even at its $60 price, I mean I've already put in a healthy amount of hours into it. I put about 90 hours in 2K22. I've put over 100 hours in 2K19. I know I'm gonna be putting a lot. It is similar, if not more, hours to 23.
Oh yeah, I foresee triple digits.
Oh yeah, I could see triple digits if I keep on pace like I am. Plus now I have a controller, and the game obviously plays better with a controller than with mouse and with keyboard. Never play this game with a keyboard. It's disgusting to play with a keyboard.
Unfortunate.
So we got about 2 more topics before we end this episode. Next topic's gonna be kind of quick. Just because I don't think there's really much to add to it, but it's something I wanted to like talk about a little bit. So in 2020, during the height of the COVID pandemic, we saw the trading card market and just everything in trading cards got really bad because of scalpers and people rediscovering the game. It got a lot more popular. I remember when we started, we got really in. We were like gonna start like collecting and playing the Pokemon trading card game again. And we were like super excited, but it was like the worst unfortunate event that could happen because we started to really get into it when the pandemic happened and cards were just impossible to find.
Yeah, they were either impossible to find or they were like absurdly overpriced to get the things that you wanted. You know, like, and that was the thing, is it was like, so Pokemon cards got really, really important, or not important, but they got really popular in the house. You know, like the kids started to play it, and the wife had played it before, but was like really wanted to get into the game again and start playing for what it was today. And I was like, yeah, you know, I used to play a lot, and I don't see a reason why we can't start playing, you know, card games as a family. And yeah, it was just the worst time to get into Pokemon because, you know, that was before stores were putting in their, you know, only 1 or 2 per customer, and people were just buying out racks completely and then, you know, reselling at double to triple the price. And yeah, it was a rough time for card games. And then, and like the Digimon card game is super, I mean, it was a huge deal for the Digimon card game to finally make its comeback and be better than it used to be. And then it just got completely destroyed in the West thanks to scalpers and the pandemic.
It sucked so bad. And you think of the context behind it too. The Digimon card game coming back and actually getting on retailer shelves is so hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, getting into like a Target and being able to buy Digimon cards at Target is incredibly hard, incredibly beneficial, but incredibly hard to do for someone to do in the card game market. But Digimon did it immediately, and I'm not gonna say they're not successful because they obviously were. They're still making the cards. But God, imagine if like more people could get their hand on this. When the starter decks came out, oh my God, I legit because I work at a Target, and I remember when the vendor came in, when he wasn't literally being tracked by scalpers.
Yep.
Which is disgusting, and you guys should feel awful if you participated in that.
Yep.
The guy would put up the Digimon trading cards. I'd have to like be like, I need to go grab this before it goes away, because that was the next scalp thing. was the Digimon trading cards because it's new and they want to sell it. The starter decks came at about, I think, $10 or $15 MSRP, and they were being sold for 40, even in local card shops. Because I tried to go around trying to find the War Greymon one for you because I really wanted you to have it. It was impossible for you to find.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get that for you, but $40, I wasn't gonna pay $40 for a starter deck.
No, it's not worth it. And then what's really sad too is like the companies realized how much that those scalpers were making off of the packs. So then the companies increased the price on them, and
Mm-hmm.
they became $25 because they knew that they could still make money off of it because they were still cheaper than the scalper prices.
It was just awful, and like I I wanted to get into the game. The game is cool. The game is really fun and has interesting mechanics to play with, but it's just so, even today it's still kind of hard to get your hands on cards. I At
It
my
is.
store we sell packs, but and they don't sell out too often, but it's the fact that there's like one row of packs and it's just super hard to get into.
Well, it because of COVID and scalping, the Digimon card game just isn't super popular in the West. Like
Yeah.
it's blowing up in Japan. Like it's huge there. I mean, there's quite a few card games that didn't do well over here that are still blowing up over there. Like, remember Duel Masters?
Yeah,
Duel
the
Masters,
fact that Duel Masters is still going on over there.
yeah, it's still going on in Japan, and it's still super popular. And like Duel Masters was fun. I like Duel Masters.
Oh man, I think that the West really has a problem with new card games getting introduced and like finding a good spot for them. We've recently
Let's
had like an upward trend of a few, but
let
it's really upsetting.
well, yeah, it's because the West just like gatekeeps when it comes to Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, like those
Like,
those are like the only card games that can exist apparently.
yeah, because like I said, like, because the gatekeepers will just be like, oh, it's not as good as these games or this game that I play, so I'm not gonna branch off or anything
Yeah,
like that.
like Flesh and Bone did very well, but it's not as popular as it could be. Same thing with Weiss Schwartz, or even Universes, which is a game I really want to try if I can get someone to play with me, because the
Well,
universal battle system for trading cards is so cool.
yeah. Well, it's like a couple of the other ones that you used to see in the card shops, like Card Fight Vanguard, like that
Hmm.
tried and didn't make it. There was that other one that we tried, that we bought the decks for. I forgot what it was called.
I know what you're talking about too. I can't remember the name either.
Yeah, it was like something Flames, or I don't remember what it was called. But yeah, we there was another game that we tried that didn't work
Force
out.
of
And we
Will.
Force of Will, yeah, we
That's
tried
it.
Force of Will because we thought that was gonna be the next big thing, and it wasn't. And then we tried Redakai, and that was not
That was a
great.
flop.
That was a huge flop. Bakugan isn't good.
Bakugan's
Um,
interesting to watch. I just never really had interest in it.
yeah. Um, let's see, Chaotic didn't
Oh,
last.
it's no fair.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the world just isn't ready for the greatest card game that ever grace humanity. So when it came at the wrong time, they just, they didn't appreciate it. But and now,
You son of a guns who did not appreciate Chaotic when it was here. I hate you.
yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you, pal.
Like it is just one of the most creative and cool card games to play, and
Yeah,
I miss it dearly.
I know, but yeah, so yeah, it's like long story short of it, yeah, the West doesn't like new card games. Like even the Dragon Ball Super card game isn't as hot as they thought it was gonna be.
Like and that's the thing. It's like it's as hot as they thought it would be. It's still big. Like the Dragon Ball Super, One Piece, and Weiss Schwartz has been getting a little more support in the West, but these are much slower. Dragon
Yeah,
Ball Super, I feel people are collecting it more for the collectible aspect of it rather than the game, kind of like what happened with Pokemon.
Yep.
Because I tried the Dragon Ball Super card game, and in all honesty, I didn't see the appeal.
Yeah.
It was confusing. I think, this is a game that didn't need big numbers to be involved for it to be interesting, and they just went for the biggest numbers they could think of.
Yeah. That's why it's like, at this point in my life, I'm not looking to start up any new card games anymore. Like, I've got what I've got for Yu-Gi-Oh! I've got what I got for Pokemon, and I've got what I've got for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I'm on a different boat with some of those card games. I'm very happily collecting more Yu-Gi-Oh! And playing the modern game. I love playing Chaotic, and I'll look at my cards sometimes like, oh, wouldn't this be cool?
Oh yeah, Chaotic is it's king.
I like I had said a bit ago, I would like to play something like Universes just because I think the concept's interesting, and if I could find people to play with me, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool card games out there. I don't want the trading card game market to stop. I do want more ideas to come out to try to innovate on what's essentially been Magic the Gathering Turbo, because people are just want to make another Magic. How do we not mention another great TCG, the World of Warcraft TCG?
Oh man, how did we forget about that?
How did we literally forget one of the very few, if not the only, trading card game that had a PvE mode, and it was better than the PvP mode?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's another one of my favorite card games.
Side note, Tabletop Simulator. We might have to run some stuff on there for the WoW TCG.
I'm fine with that.
But World of Warcraft trading card game, I think did the mana system way better than Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's so many cool card games, and I don't want the people to. I don't think they're gonna ever get motivated by us, but I never want the people who are making these card games to ever feel discouraged with the idea that there's innovation to be made in the trading card market. MetaZoo tried really hard, and while I don't think the game is cool, the concepts behind it were cool enough that I think it did deserve a shot in the spotlight.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Unfortunately, gamers, we are on the final topic of our podcast.
Oh,
boo, this game sucks. This podcast sucks. Go home. So, this is another one that you had come up with as our final topic. It was mainly about board games, and ones we either played once or didn't play at all that you are dying to play or play again. I came up with a bigger list than I thought I was going to, but I'm very much interested to hear your list to see if we got anything similar.
So I actually only have one game on there.
Oh,
right.
Hit me with it.
Yeah. World of Warcraft board game.
Yes. Oh my god. So that we played that I think we did play once or twice, and then never again because. I mean, to be fair, the game was a lot more complex than we thought it did, and the turn counter system was weird.
Oh yeah, it was a very complex game. And it took a long time to set everything up and to actually play the game. So it wasn't the game's fault at all for why we've never gotten back to it. It was majority because we just didn't have the time or didn't want to set everything up. Mm-hmm. I think if I were to bust the game out again so that we could play it, I would like it to be pre-established on the table and everything is in hands grasp or arm's length.
Yeah.
So that you can grab what you need, and then by the time everybody comes over to play it, everything is set and ready to go, and we could just get right into the game. Because that game takes 2 to 3 hours to.
Oh yeah.
And that's only with 2 people. So...
Yeah, well, and that's also kind of the fun of it, because you are playing World of Warcraft on a board, tabletop version.
Yeah, like you're completing quests and gaining reputation and buying gear and you know eventually the end game of the goal or the goal of the game is to defeat whoever the world boss is. Like you can do PvP, but just because you beat somebody in PvP doesn't mean it's the end of the game.
Right.
So
No, I would love to jump into that game again.
yeah, that would be really fun. But
Um,
what's yours?
in terms of one we've played like a couple times, but I want to get back into, the first one is Villainous. I love that game.
Yeah, I have only played that game one time.
I've played a couple times with Ma, and I love it so much. I've bought so many expansions for it. Just because the game's like interesting. I like the idea that it's villains thwarting each other's plans and everything. And I had fun with just me and Ma, but God, with more people, the games last longer. Everyone has a lot more fun with it. Everyone's trying to stop each other. It's cool.
Yeah.
I genuinely like how, and it's simple to learn too. It's not a very complex game.
It's true.
The other one I had, I know we played a lot back then, but I haven't gotten the chance to play with it in a long time. Key to the Kingdom.
Oh yeah, we just recently played that not too long ago.
I know you guys did, but I have not touched that game in years. And
Yeah.
it's such a cool, fun game, and it's unfair that I don't get to play it with friends.
Yes, it is. It is a tad unfair, but that was
It's a neat, interesting game that like other board games just can't replicate that feeling of Key to the Kingdom.
No, it cannot.
Um,
But yeah, that is a good choice.
it's a certified hood classic.
Certified Hood Classic.
I have 3 more on here.
All right, yeah, dude, hit me with it.
So one of them, I think is cheating to call it a board game, but I'm gonna call it a board game anyway. Blood Bowl.
Hey, there you go. That's a good one.
I love the Blood Bowl video game. I've never played the tabletop version of it, and I want to so bad because I love Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl is cool.
Such a fun game. You and I played this one recently. When you were up with us last. One Deck Dungeon.
Yeah, that was an experience.
The game is meant to be hard, and I feel if we had a better idea of what we were doing, the game would be more fun. Because I played the game alone, because it's like 1 to 2 players. And I remember I had a lot of fun with it. But I know co-op can be fun. I know it can be fun.
I know it can be fun.
I believe.
One day.
Last on my list is one we play often, but not often enough, and that's Hero Quest. Damn it!
Yeah, Hero Quest is the best.
I supported the Hasbro Pulse kickstart. I got all the expansions. I got the 3 or 4 extra adventures. I have so much Hero Quest, and I just want to play it all. I love being Zargon. I love being the villain and moving the characters and everything. Hell, when we played, was it? Oh God, was it with my girlfriend or was it with my ex when we played last? Where we had like a role play thing where you were able to roll like d6s and d20s just because I added those rules.
That was probably your ex.
I feel that's my ex. Either way, I like that I just kind of added that and it still was fun.
Yeah, it was still a good time.
Like it's just such a good system that like if you only cared about the combat in Dungeons and Dragons, you need to play Hero Quest.
Yeah.
Because it's just as fun. But that's all I got on my list. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Well, I will I think that's it for the Blizz Bizz podcast here. I usually like letting Chris go out with the outro. What would you say to the fine folks at the end of the screen.
Well, today, fine folks, I would like you to know that I'm on eBay right now, and I found a Duel Masters 2-player starter set, and I'm about to buy it.
Hoggers. All right, bye.
Bye!